This is not the internet. This is the Metaverse. Hello pioneers. Today we're going to take a look at the mysterious Kosasih and see what he's all about since he's been appearing on our Twitter feeds recently. And this is Kosasih, and what all the buzz is about is all this GitHub repository, and in the code here he's got this Mainnet launch date of the 1st of June 2024. Now, I've had a look at this guy, and I can't see any relation to the PyCore team or anything like that, so this is pretty well just an arbitrary date, and he could have put anything in here. But 1st of June isn't very far away, so we'll know soon enough. While I'm here, I just want to shout out Jojo, because as far as I can tell, he was like the first guy to sort of bring all this to light. So go over and give him a follow, because he's doing regular updates on X, and you get a lot more information over there. Now, looking at the GitHub repository here, right? If you have a look here, there's 60 projects listed, right? So I've gone through all these projects, and I've compiled them into groups, right? So we get a bit of a better idea of, instead of actually looking at each individual one, get a bit of an idea of what he's trying to achieve here. And I've got to tell you, from the get-go, when I first look at this, I think it's very impressive. So I've grouped them into things like AI, DeepIn, video, DeFi, smart technology, space technology, open mainnet, DAO, developers, medical, e-commerce, and then there's a few little stragglers that I've just got as undefined. And when we look at AI, this is the grouping that I put for AI, right? And I'm going to do this for each one. I'm going to give you a preview of what's sort of under there, and then I'm just going to pick out some highlights and discuss those. But from the very outset, you can see that it's very descriptive, there's a lot of content, and it's very professional looking, I must say. So with AI, let's look at PyCosmos, right? So this is an AI powered platform with to manage and distribute physical commodities, right? And so what are we talking about here, right? This is real world assets. And this is a new term that's come to light, and probably will drive the next bull market actually, is RWAs, right? So this is something to pay attention to. AI chain fusion, right? This is another AI, and what I noticed here was that, we're talking about, when we had the video with on Pi Day from Nicholas, he talked about how he had this 20k Pi nodes, and that with all this CPU, paves the way for extraordinary decentralized computing possibilities, right? Computing on such a large scale, right? And this would come to be, so you could operate a massive open source AI model in a decentralized manner, right? So you can see here this AI chain fusion. It's bringing in this link with Chainlink, which we'll see later on. I'm pretty sure that is Chainlink itself. But it's actually this decentralized AI, right? So that's what's important here. Then we got this Echelon X, right? This is this is all for financial systems, right? So this is DeFi, right? So this is all very important too, right? So these are lots of AI components that I think we're going to start seeing a lot come out in the Pi network. And one term that we think we're going to see a lot of, or we do see a lot throughout the course of this, is quantum computing. Right, it's a very, very big component, and you can see it's used in these two frameworks, right? And this is the IBM and Google frameworks. The next one we have is DeepIn. Right, and this is another new term that goes along with RWAs, and this will drive a lot of adoption as well. And this is decentralized physical infrastructure. Right, so this is another term we have to get used to. And this is the contents of it, and all this following here you can see is all PyCloud. right? So it's quite possible that Pi Network's trying to do their own Pi Cloud infrastructure. All right, so you'll see this all Pi Cloud. All right, it's a lot to it. So here we have Pi PFS and Raspberry Pi, Raspberry Node, and you can see it's using IPFS here, right, which is Interplanetary File System, right, which kind of ties into something that come up. And IPFS is actually what PCM used for their NFT platform, right? So it's just decentralized storage. And then you can see here that using Raspberry Pi, there's a lot of Raspberry Pi throughout this, so you'll see a lot of that later. And with the Raspberry Pi, what they're doing is Internet of Things, right? So they're all the very tiny CPUs that can do computing. Hypernet, right? This is next-gen internet infrastructure, right? So I think, I always say that Metaverse is going to replace the internet, right? And this Hypernet, perhaps this might be what will be, we will know as the new internet infrastructure, where it will be all decentralized. We've got space, right? This is what I was talking about with the IPFS. There's a lot of tie-ins here with, connecting into intergalactic things and all this type of thing. It seems a bit out there at the moment, but it's not just going to be global by the looks. A cutting-edge navigation system for interstellar travel, expanding Pi Network to the stars, connecting worlds through Pi Network, empowering decentralized space exploration, paving the way for humanity's expansion into the cosmos, innovating network solutions for interstellar communication, bridging worlds with decentralized networks to integrate extraterrestrial resources into the Pi Network ecosystem. Right, so you can see here he's not just thinking globally, right? He's thinking intergalactic, isn't he? So the only thing I'll say about this is that space-time is it's just a construct within the simulation. Oh, one more I forgot. Unleashing space-based mining algorithms. Right, and I would talk about Pi being a universal basic income. Now what's always struck me before is why isn't it called a global basic income? So perhaps this is why it's going to be a universal basic income. And just recently, Elon said that it's not even going to be a basic income; it's actually going to be a high income. So that's something good. And going on with the Elon theme, we got Starlinker. All right, so this is a satellite-based infrastructure. Right, and just recently as well, Elon tweeted that Starlink is now available. It's the same name, available in Indonesia, and as we know, Kosasih is from Indonesia. So it's another one of those coincidences. Now we have medical, right? So this is the medical group, and I should go back. The reason I put that up there was as a portion in there for an artificial pancreas, which I thought was quite unique, right? And this is to do with diabetes and all that, right? So again, we got Elon, tweeting about obesity and all this Ozempic craze, So all this seems to be tying in, And the more we go along in the future, you can start to see the blockchains connecting to each other, and we can start to see how these smart cities are going to evolve. The next one we have is smart technology. Right, so this is the grouping for that. We have Lumina TV, right, which is theatre-based. Right, now normal theatre is spelt like this, so I can only assume that this is the actual theatre, right, for all the decentralized content for video and all that is out there for all the people that know theatre. Then we have Quantum Pi Raspberry Node, right, this is all IoT, like I discussed before. and all using Raspberry Pi, right? So you can see this Raspberry Pi again. And recently the CEO of Stellar was bragging about how they're running a Stellar node on Raspberry Pi in their kitchen now. Right? So like I said, all this is starting to come together. And it's probably no coincidence that it's called Raspberry Pi either, by the way. Next we've got things like Global Unified Transportation Network, Ride Link, and Decentralized Logistics. Right? And you know, this network, you know, it reminds me of Mobi, right, where they have a thing called an integrated trust network, right, so for all transportation and logistics and all that sort of thing. And, you know, they have things like trusted trips, IoT with self-sovereign identity, self-sovereign digital twins, battery passports, mobility as a service. And this all comes under a thing they call new economy of movement, right? And this is where you, you know, tap in your trip where you want to go, and then it plots out the route and approves it and all that sort of thing. Now, the example here, they use, you know, you type in where the next EV charging station is, right? So it'll show you where to go, right? And this is all where you can see everything has its own identity, right? This is how, you know, and I know this is tracking within stuff and all that's not really popular and all that, but within a smart city, this is how AI can control all this stuff through the identity of everything, right? So it's more about that. Next we have Dow Mall, right, which is the, you know, got a lot of things in this, but this actually isn't a mall for shopping, right? Because this is actually a Raspberry Pi developer portal, if you like, right? So this mall is actually for everything to do with Raspberry Pi development, right? So there's a lot of things in there. Open Mainnet, right? So we've got quite a few things in here. All right, go through those. So we have Crypto Connect and Pi Nexus, right? Connecting and collaborating with crypto technology and financial systems worldwide, autonomously connecting all banks worldwide, right? So again, you know, it's just connecting Pi network to the outer world, to the new financial system. Pi Link Bridge, right? Another bridge is what we want. I'm still keeping an eye on pibridge.com. That's not populated yet. Right, and you see here, right, this is our, you know, this is a pretty cut and dry link to Chainlink, right, so as I showed you before. Right, and, you know, this is all decentralized exchanges and multi-chain smart contracts, right, so a lot of stuff here. Galactic Nexus, right, I'm pretty sure this is, they're talking about Cosmos here, right, so you've got Chainlink, you've got Cosmos, you know, so we're getting a lot of connectivity here. Pi Velocity, right, and this is a high-speed transaction processing system, right, so I don't know whether this is layer 2 thing like we've seen on Stellar, you know, so we'll see what this is all about, right. Again, it's not Pi Core team, but all science, you know, tends to think that these are things that we will need. Next we have DeFi. Alright, so we have all these things here. Right, and the common theme between these was this quantum finance forecast system. Right, so I don't know much about that, but yeah, there was a very common theme. E-commerce, right, so this is all our typical mall stuff with wallets and all that type of things, carts. Right, so you know, nothing outstanding there. The only thing I thought was, you know, was this sort of consolidated stuff where it was talking about marine products for Pi Aquatic Mart and jewelry products for Golden Core. Right, so they were quite specific. Video, right, we've got this smart studio editor, right, called Regos. Right, so that was something that sort of stood out by itself, so it made its own little group there. Right, so some video editing software. And developers, right, now this is really extensive, right, there's a lot of repositories for this, right, and when you put them all together, right, this is how many there are. Right now, the gist of this is that this is where all the developer tools, right? So it's where project managers can manage teams and coders can manage repositories and all that type of thing, everything that goes into it. But what I will say about this, because there's not really a lot of code with a lot of these things, right? They typically, there's a lot of repositories, they're populated, they're quite descriptive, right? There's a lot of description in there and all that, very professionally written. All this is very professionally written, and especially this developer stuff, right? And, you know, this requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, a lot of professional input, right? And I think this is way too much work for just a single man, right? I think this is a team would need to be building all this repository. So even just the fact that it's just headings and all that type of thing, it's very, very, very intricate, right? And very impressive, by the way, right? That's why I wanted to make a video on all this, because I love every single aspect of this, right? Whether this guy's a PyCore team member, well, he's not, but whether he's got any relation to Core Team at all. If Core Team saw this, they would be saying this is exactly what we want and what we want to integrate into our topology, right? So it's all very, very impressive. The last thing is this undefined, right? So there was a few things that didn't have any description with them, you know. And the only thing I sort of saw standing out was really like Pi Estate, and you know, he's got invoice Pi, but there's really nothing populated or anything. These are pretty well just headings. And the last thing is the first one to be put in was back in 2021, right? So this has been going a while, but from what I can tell, this is why I left the dates, you know, for the updated dates in there. You know, it's pretty well 2023 was when a lot of this was starting to be populated, right? But like I said, it's all very, very professional, very impressive. You know, some of it there is code, right? And we'll see a bit more of that later. But, you know, I just wanted to do a quick run through that and, you know, give it a good overview, right? Because, yeah, like I said, it's very, very impressive. So who is this Kosasih, right? And, you know, I've had a bit of a look around and all that, and, you know, to be honest though, I haven't really found a lot of information on him. You know, we know he's from Indonesia, right? We've found that out. I managed to find a LinkedIn profile for him, and you know, he claims he's the owner of these businesses. You know, I couldn't really find a lot of information on those as well. I did, however, you know, I did correspond with him though, and he did reply. And, you know, he said he was quite happy to make a video on him, but that was pretty all he said. So I replied and gave him a whole pile of questions. To this date, as I'm recording this video, he hasn't responded to that, right? So I was hoping he would. I was hoping he'd give us some clarity on this. But, you know, it could be a case of, you know, he can't talk about it, or he doesn't want to, you know, I'm not really sure, but, you know, that's all perfectly fine. It just would have been nice to, you know, have some insight from the very man himself, right? So, yeah, so I don't really have a lot of information on him, you know, so, but, you know, if we look a bit further into this, you know, into this this certain topic here, this repository called Revolution, oh, this is hard to say, Revolutionation, right, is, you know, it's got a repository of 160 repositories, right, so there's a lot going on here. And this seems to be the main one that I can see that, you know, he's been working on to date, right, so in the project section, there was 3 entries, right, so there's 2 that were NFT marketplace, and then the last one here, you know, which is, you know, talking about being smart web app, right? So, but when you actually dive into the repositories here, right, you'll see that, you know, just in these headings alone, right, there's some very, very impressive headings here, right? And, you know, things talking about, you know, holographic identity, you know, cybernetic governance, social robotics, right? DAOs, right? There's a multitude of things, and there's a really lot of interesting concepts in here. And so I might even have to make a new video on this, just going through this alone, because compared to what was in the last lot, which was already impressive, some of the headings in this stuff is equally as impressive. So it'd be great to go through this stuff. Now, if I just take one, this is one with the very last entry sort of thing. This one's called Space Zone, right? You can see that it's typically populated like this, and most of these things are populated like this. And then when you go, you scroll down and you can see that how descriptive these things are, right? And really professionally written. Like I said, very descriptive. A lot of content, and this is why I think that this is just too much content for just one man to create. So I think he's more than one person here, but I don't have information on that. But I think that's that's where I'll leave it off though. Is that it's all very impressive. All very great. Intrigued to know more. I'm going to dive into more of the repositories and see what I can find out. That Jojo on X, he's been checking everything out. He's doing deep dives into it too, and he's a bit limited. He can only sort of post on X. He doesn't make content himself. So that's why it's good to make these videos and see what we're doing. But yeah. So as far as who is Kosasih, I don't really have a lot of information apart from I'm really impressed with everything he's done. Right, so watch this space. I'll keep on trying to find out more information, and I'll keep you up to date. When I can find out more information. So until then, until the next video, I'll catch you later.